Hi, you guys. Welcome back. This is Richard Sachs. I'm your host here on Lost Arts Radio, and this is a special version that we created for this platform so that when we get out of platform jail on Tuesday, we might actually be able to stay here for a while and not lose touch with you guys. And we're hoping that the subscribers and other listeners that just happened by will go over to lostartsradio.com and stay in touch with us there, because that won't be removed, at least not in current foreseeable future under the circumstances now. And this one that you're watching right now could be, and we've been warned a lot, and we've been re-educated, and hopefully we're totally obedient at this point. And I've thought, what can I actually say on this prior to the real live show, Lost Arts Radio Live, which is about current events related topics and starts 26 minutes from now, roughly. And I thought, well, we can be what people call sarcastic and say things and hope that you understand that what we mean is not exactly what's being heard. And some people got that and liked it. Other ones thought, well, you should say something that's not sarcastic and actually something that you can say and mean it. And I thought, all right, I tried that recently with some episodes. These are just short episodes because we have to do the real live show at 4:30 Pacific, which is shortly after this. But just to share something on this platform so that we keep it operating, I thought, all right, today we're going to have a really interesting show on Lost Arts Radio Live on the other platforms that haven't kicked us off. And what can I say about that? And be safe on this particular, you're supposed to stay safe, right? And there's multiple meanings to that. So today's live show that starts in about 25 minutes now is on environmental issues. And this has been used as a polarizing topic along with health-related issues for recent years as part of a larger agenda of what's being done to humanity right now. We're actually, I think it's safe to say, the largest coordinated, really the first globally coordinated assault against humanity and all life in known history, and probably way back before that as well, because now they have the technology and the means to coordinate and do very unpleasant things to all life forms, including humans. And it's not just humans, it's everything. And I don't say that lightly. I've spent many decades digging into this thing. And this is a program to eliminate life from this planet, including the perpetrators. And it's really hard for people to grasp. I mean, as you'll see if you watch the regular live show today, it's hard for a lot of people even to grasp that the authorities aren't working tirelessly and selflessly to protect us and help us and make us healthy and happy and safe from every possible danger. They don't get the idea that the truth is the opposite of that. And some people who do understand parts of that to some level have come to the conclusion that all the environmental concern is nonsense, and that is not true. And I know because I've been involved in environmental causes since the early 1960s. And in the 60s, when I was a university student and ran into this great horticultural genius named Alan Chadwick, and kind of took it from there and never dropped the idea that, or the realization that the life support system of the planet, which is sometimes known as the environment, is not silly. In fact, it's really dumb to do anything to damage it at all, because as long as you're living on Earth, having a physical body is extremely useful. And if you do things to poison it and make it sick and or kill it, that's not a really good plan. So the the question of whether the environment is a real issue or not, we really shouldn't have to be wondering about that. And I've been excommunicated by a number of friends that are calling themselves conservative because I'm a really strong environmentalist. Not in the wacko sense, I don't think, but in the real sense that is actually critically important for survival on the planet. And they've said, well, there's no environmental emergency. The whole they understand how climate change is being used as a total scam, which it is, and that doesn't mean that there aren't real environmental issues. Examples of those: air quality, not just city pollution, but this massive elephant or mammoth in the room called geoengineering. And I don't refer to it as climate engineering only because it's way more than effect on the weather. It's poisoning the planet with ingredients that you don't need if you're only trying to change the weather. And they're very sophisticated. They include, according to Carnicom and other people we've had on the show, life forms that don't, I forget what they call them, life forms that aren't exactly bacteria. They're not exactly synthetic. They're kind of a mix of the two. And they don't have to do with changing the weather. They have to do with killing you, but not quickly, which is a clue to what the agenda is. It's not just sudden extermination of life. And as I've said before, that's obvious because they have the technology to do that overnight if they want to. And they're not doing that. They're killing life on the planet by slow, methodical protocol that's very exact, with notices they have to give and things they have to put in entertainment and media and all kinds of stuff like that. So poisoning of the air is going on through geoengineering and through a lot of other things. It's true that burning petroleum products is not a very clean form of energy compared to others that are available. But the ones that are really good, and I'm not talking about solar and wind, are suppressed as part of the same agenda. They don't want us to have access to that. It's well known by people who've researched these things that the technology to run anything with an internal combustion engine on water has been perfected decades ago, if not way before that. But we know of demonstration on video from a few decades ago by Stanley Meyer and others that I think he drove a dune buggy all over the United States on water, just water. That's done. They don't need to burn. They haven't needed to burn gas or diesel since at least that time, and probably before. And it's minor alteration of internal combustion engine with a compression ratio and some things like that. And so what happened? Well, Stanley Meyer got killed. The people that got his papers got killed. I mean, it's very dangerous to try to do anything with real alternative energy. It's totally safe, and all these platforms will let you go on promoting things that don't work. That's fine because they really like the idea of showing that that's all nonsense. But the parts that are not nonsense, you can't bring them out. And this is an issue that's going to have to be solved because the reliance on so-called fossil fuels that aren't really fossil fuels, but coal and petroleum, and even reliance on solar and wind, which are not in present form efficient enough to rely on at all. That's why the power structure is promoting going to solar and wind and dumping all the regular energy sources because they know that it'll result in famine and all kinds of things that they really like. But the real alternative energy sources like zero-point energy, magnetic-based energy that works off permanent magnets and needs no fuel whatsoever in the usual sense, those you should not promote, or you have this problem where you get killed. And I don't think that's been totally resolved yet. Stephen Greer, Dr. Greer, is offering financing for people who come forward with real technology, not the junk that's all over the internet that says, wow, this is the most amazing thing and it could be taken down at any moment. and then they sell it to everybody and it doesn't work. Not that kind. There's real ones. And so he's offering to come to his farm in Virginia and demonstrate and let third parties verify it. And if they do, then a lot of funding for that inventor, as long as he or she is still alive or their heirs, and make it available open source suddenly all over the world so that it can't be stopped. And he's still got that offer open, I think. Dr. Stephen Greer. Anyway, the air pollution is real. The weather and climate, I don't know about changing the climate. I don't think geoengineering has really done that, but they've changed the weather. And the reason I say I don't know that it's changed the climate, it might have, but I suspect if the geoengineering stopped, weather would go back to normal. That means the climate's still there, it's just being hidden. So that's a real serious problem, not just because they're cutting down vital sunlight that needs to reach the earth, but because they're really messing up the weather, causing droughts and floods that shouldn't happen, moving normal rainfall patterns around, changing wind currents, but overall poisoning the entire biosphere. That's what I can see as the most immediate threat from geoengineering, in addition to cutting out the sunlight, which last I heard was down by 20-some% from normal. And the sunlight is not a mistake of God. It's there for a lot of reasons, for humans and animals and plants. And if you cut down photosynthesis, it's really not a good plan. And the plan is to do that more. That's real. And nobody in government that I know of, other than some people, I think in the state legislature in Rhode Island or somewhere, passed some kind of resolution about geoengineering, but nothing that's really had an impact on stopping it, which is urgently needed. Water, poisoning of water, intentional poisoning of water by city officials and the people they obey with fluoride and other poisons that hurt people and damage IQ and damage physical health and hurt bone density and cause cancer and the usual list of stuff. That's an urgent thing to fix, and that could be stopped along with the corruption in the governments at any point. Soil pollution, not just from geoengineering, but from toxic farming, growing food, in a way where you grow it with poisons. That's not brilliant. Even it's promoted by so-called scientists, which are doing so much damage. I mean, scientists now, the fake scientists, are in competition with the criminal media to see who can do the most damage. They're saying, yeah, this new poison is approved by all the government agencies. You put it right on the food, no problem, it washes right off. I mean, if anybody had common sense left, no farmer would buy that garbage. But they're impressed by science. And they say, well, we can't compete without the latest poison, but it's approved, so it must be safe. Same with fertilizers. Working with nature used to be the way of farming a long time ago, and you had to actually understand how the soil worked, not all these complex calculations that they teach you in chemical reactions in ag school, which I was in for a while, a long time ago, that justify the use of poison on the food. I mean, no matter how impressive the language is that science tends to rely on, or the things that they show you by people who are really have lots of degrees and they speak in ways that you can't understand, that doesn't make poison safe. It's not. And it doesn't make environmentalism silly. All kinds of manufactured products that are being sold by corporations for a profit, and they contain substances that harm the person that uses them. I'm totally in favor of profit, but not by hurting people. If you find out that you are, then you need to stop and do something different and make money in a different way. All kinds of dirty technology, not just for energy, but other things too, electromagnetic frequency pollution. The telecom companies are getting away with damage and murder and ecocide, and this is real. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or a Democrat or green or whatever you think you are. The labels are totally irrelevant. EMFs are causing massive damage. There's all kinds of real science that shows that, all the way down to bacteria and trees and plants and humans and animals and birds. It's beyond criminal. It's part of the problem that we're being run by basically a network of mafias. And I think it's okay to say that because they'll figure that you think I'm crazy for saying it. Anyway, and toxic medicine is a real big one too, killing millions of people a year, even before the current situation, which is far, far more aggressive. So the environment includes all this stuff that we're subject to, and to say it's an emergency is an understatement. The so-called conservative people that have gotten mad at me for saying there's no emergency, they're really good people, all the ones I know, but they're unaware. Poisoning your life support system is a really serious issue. And that's what we're going to talk about in the Lost Arts Radio live show. And we're going to introduce one of the few scientists, real scientists, who's brave enough to give a presentation to government on the reality behind climate change. Most of them are not. Their agencies run by the UN or connected to it or run by a corrupt government. NOAA, NASA, and what is it called? ICCC or something like that. We're going to find out in the live show today what's going on with the data that they present to prove global warming. It's very interesting stuff. And, there's some question whether people will be able to pay enough attention and watch the presentation that this man gives. I recommend doing it. If your mind wanders and you want to go check on a soap opera or something in between, I really recommend, if you care at all about life on Earth and the future of it, listen to this guy, because he's risking his life to give this presentation in 2013. And I'm going to do some commentary on it, but let him talk as much as possible. He's a great person. I don't know what's happening with him now. In fact, I can't reach him. And people who do this kind of presentation tend to disappear. It's one reason that I wanted to stay absolutely quiet for a long time. But I feel like you can't do it. If we all stay quiet, we're not going to be able to live here anymore. Anyway, that's what we're going to be getting into in the live show. The man's name, in case you haven't heard of him, and almost nobody has, is Don Easterbrook. Incredibly brave, real scientist. And you know what real science is? It questions everything. It's never settled. It doesn't say a slogan that you memorize, safe and effective, or whatever it is the truth. You just you question it. Is it the truth? Is global warming really what they say? Is anything what they say? I mean, the lies in our environment are so pervasive and deep. It's beyond a science fiction movie, but it's real. And even though it's emotionally difficult to actually deal with and to drop your labels, drop the side that you're fighting for and say, look, if I'm wrong, that's great. I want to find out that I'm wrong and correct myself. That's science. Question everything. If you think the world is round, that's great, but what if it's not? Question that. If you think it's flat and you're identified with that, question that. Don't have any ego connected to it. Egos, preclude science, and real science is needed. It's the same on a spiritual level or anything else. You always question everything because you just want to know what's true. And that's what we're going to look at in the live show in a few minutes. So hopefully that was a safe amount for me to say on a non-sarcastic tone for the safe stream version. And they'll still let us out of jail on Tuesday, but we're not going to change our approach because we want to keep this connection with you so that we don't disappear and you say, well, too bad Lost Arts Radio isn't on the air anymore. And you don't know that we're on the air on all kinds of other channels, all kinds of other platforms, some of which aren't even safe to mention on this one. But go to lostartsradio.com and you'll see what they are there. Some are audio, some are video. They're all available anywhere the internet works. And we have news articles we post on lostartsradio.com, I guess, on the website. And that's done almost every day of the week. I don't get time to do it Saturdays because we've got all these live shows to do. But there's more posted there in articles and videos that you could ever have time to review, things that you won't see on mainstream news. And if you want to help us stay on the air, there's a donate button on lostartsradio.com, and subscribestar.com/lostartsradio is another way to do that. At the moment, we're not doing commercials, so any help from people that have the resources and feel like what we're doing is valuable, that's appreciated. Other than that, share the links and help us get by the shadow banning and censorship. That is appreciated very much. But more than any of it, the message is take care of yourself, because you're super important. You know, you're the potential key player in healing the world. You don't, if you're like most of us, you don't realize what is the potential. And we go into that more in our private group, planetaryhealingclub.com. You're welcome to look into that if you want to. But whether you do it with us or do it on your own or do it with a friend, do it and learn, because the time now is short. And whatever you can get back in your physical health, most of us have fallen for the nonsense of toxic medicine and toxic food and all this stuff. You got to clean that up soon now, really quick, and then find out what your real potential is beyond the physical level. It's incredible. And we'll do it with you. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Got to get ready for the real live show. I hope you'll join us. And remember that tomorrow night is our Sunday guest show. And that is, I mean, amazing people are on that. Take a look at it. And take good care of yourself, respect yourself, be nice to everybody. And we'll look forward to seeing you here next time. Have a good night.